Saturn and Mars conjunction. Saturn represents many things such as step or half relationships, delays, restrictions, boundaries, limitations. If you pay close attention to wherever Saturn is placed, things associated with it makes you uncomfortable. It is like Saturn placements bore you. I think it is due to the fact that Saturn represents older people and mechanical things. The age and disparity tends to be 20 years, I have noticed. Saturn is the planet that trains you with discipline. So even as you get older, you would get so used to Saturn's limitations that you may still prefer taking the lesser route. Saturn shows will be organized, administered, and controlled. I can make a whole video talking about Saturn because Saturn's explanations are very long. Whereas Mars is fights, arguments, built up tension, or aggression. Mars is also the cause of high blood pressure. Mars represents the males we encounter in our lives, specifically male siblings, male friends, boyfriends. Mars is our physical actions, what makes us want to put our energy into doing something. Mars shows what we protect. To better understand this conjunction, especially from my perspective, picture two people, a young athlete and an old man. Shoots, you can even picture the old person being a blind man because blind people tend to have a caregiver walking around with them wherever the blind person goes, etc. This old man has to always be around a young, energetic athlete wherever he goes. Either two things will happen. The old man becomes extremely energetic and wants to do things at a much faster pace. On the flip side, the young athlete starts to act like an old man and become less energetic. This is when the destiny of a person really comes out alive because I have noticed a lot of people's charts with this conjunction. For example, it could be in their fifth house and yet they still have a lot of relationships or sexual partners, even in their early 20s. I'm like, what the? Then I read other people's charts, clients to be exact. These clients have the results that I would expect Saturn to give, which are delayed results. Let us break this conjunction down further. If Mars represents your energy, aggression, and even blood, Saturn is supposed to limit and make you manage how you use those things, which can make someone be lazy or hesitant with their actions. Let's say this conjunction is in your third or ninth house. Then on social media, you would be like, should I make this tweet that would create an argument? Question mark. Whereas someone with just Mars in the third or ninth house without any Saturn influence would make the tweet directly. They wouldn't be hesitant. They would start the argument right away because the energy of Mars wouldn't be restricted by Saturn. Shoots, a Mars and Saturn conjunction could be placed in any house and you would still be like, should I fight or argue with this person? It is like you often second guess how you should go about doing things. Saturn represents fear and anxiety, so that could be another reason why you are hesitant with your actions, which is a good thing, sort of. It makes you a person that is disciplined with your actions and aggressions. A military soldier comes to my mind, or an officer in training. A downside is that when you really need to turn up and perhaps defend yourself, defend the things wherever this Mars is placed. As a result, you might be too chilled, like how Snoop Dogg is whenever he is. I could be wrong though. The entire influence of this Saturn is to train how you use your energy. Picture a dog that is on a leash and then let loose while being on attack mode. Saturn can very well still let you know when it is time to turn up with your energy in ways related to time management. So you could be someone that does things in sets, intervals, or uses a schedule. Even an alarm clock would be a great example, which is still good for an athlete or an active gym goer because you know your limitations. A lot of people pass out when working out because they just don't know how to control their energy. NBA and NFL players get ejected out of games constantly due to the athletes not knowing how to control their anger. Can you imagine a person in a stand your ground state like Texas? A person that is hot tempered and ready to fight anybody? Man, that could lead to a homicide situation. A Saturn and Mars conjunction is supposed to cause a reverse effect and to help prevent those scenarios from happening. I forgot to mention, since Mars in the first or seventh house can make a person have high blood pressure, instead, a person with a Saturn and Mars conjunction in the first or seventh house can have low blood pressure because he or she would know how to control his or her anger and frustrations. A true master of anger management can have this conjunction. Just hope that this conjunction doesn't make you have the energy of an elderly person. I wonder if physically handicapped people are more likely to have this conjunction because they have to be very smart with how they use their body. Someone good at weapons, like guns specifically, should have this conjunction. A sniper rifle comes to my mind because pulling a trigger is a timely process. Now, with Mars representing the males we encounter in our lives, like male strangers, you gotta think. And this is very important for females with this conjunction to listen up. Men in general make people with this conjunction feel uncomfortable amongst men. It could even be male friends, which is why you try limiting your interactions with men. Maybe the Saturn makes you fearful of men. Overall, if you don't have lots of male friends, or for females that never had a lot of boyfriends, this conjunction could be why. On another note, Saturn describes the type of men you interact with. Also, the sign Mars is in as well, which could be men that are like 20 years older than you are, or the guy friends could be your age. If they are your age, you would notice that they are very mature for their age, to the point that their presence might just bore you. Let's take things up a notch. Saturn is step or half relationships, so this is the case with male siblings. You are very likely to have male siblings that are half slash step siblings. If so, that is for sure the sibling you would be uncomfortable with. Overall, male siblings you are very likely to have a distant relationship with. They could be right next to you and it is like they aren't even there. Now, there is a reverse effect of this conjunction. Remember in the beginning of the video, I mentioned how an elderly person can become extremely energetic? Well, you gotta think Mars can still very well accelerate the delayed results of Saturn. You know how some people be like, you gotta wait until your Saturn return to see results? I'm not really a believer of that stuff, and this conjunction is a good reason why. People with this conjunction get results a lot quicker from Saturn. An exemplification of this would be when Mars and Saturn are both in the 5th or 11th house. I would read female clientele charts, and somehow they would be pregnant more than once, even before age 23, which is crazy, right? Most of them don't keep the baby though, they get an abortion or something. I like to think that abortion is due to Saturn's influence. Mars gives the results fast, and boom, Saturn restricts or limits it, basically creating boundaries from those results. In 2023, Halle Bailey had gotten pregnant, which was a failed prediction by me. I remembered looking at her moon chart and saw that Mars and Saturn conjunction in the 5th house. I was like, there is no way she could get pregnant. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, but Mars speeds up the results of Saturn, which was the case for her. She had a baby when she was like, what, 23? There you have it. She had a baby boy months later. The Mars influenced her having a boy too, but that is a discussion for a different date. Anyways, follow me on the other apps. There will be more videos to come.